Hi, this is Dr. Ben Morrill. Welcome to episode 113 of Reptile Genetics Weekly. Glad to have you here. Very, very excited to have AG here from Koil Snakes. So glad to have AG here. And today we are going to talk a little bit about his journey, where he's coming from, and as far as business, practice, and planning for the future, but then also as he's gotten into looking into ball pythons, reptiles in general, and what some of that's been like. There's some pretty funny stories of interactions he's had as he's been trying to purchase animals. He's someone that's definitely not a tire kicker, but got treated like one some. So I think you all will find some of his stories interesting. But anyway, also be able to talk a little bit about what kind of ideas of what the future will be like for reptile keeping and breeding. And so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. As for updates, we have panel tests that just went out. And so we'll talk a little bit about that here in a minute once Kayla's on. And then we also will have fast tests going out every day the rest of this week. Also sex determination going out probably twice this week as usual. Should be going out. You have about a 3 to 5 business day wait for sex determination for ball pythons and for colubrids. And yeah, I think that's all I have. Kayla, how are you doing?
Hey, Ben, I'm doing great. I think possibly right now, or at least later today, one of my rat snakes over here is going to be laying eggs. She gave us a pre-lay shed last week, and she's my white-sided rat snake, Clover, and actually the very first snake I ever had. And she's double clutching this year, which I didn't want, but if she's going to, that's fine. And she's going to get so many just calcium breaded rats as a thank you for it, But yeah, she shed about a week ago. I can palpate eggs in her. I think she's getting restless now, so I think she's going to go soon.
That's cool. That's exciting. And that's crazy. Colubrids can do that. They seem so little, but man, as long as they're eating well, they can put out a lot of eggs.
Yeah, no, we literally got a racer at the wildlife center that we had, who is unfortunately egg bound because she got caught in netting. But like when she was picked out of the netting, she laid 10 eggs, and she still has 10 eggs in her that we were trying to get her to pass. But yeah, no, just little tiny skinny guys, and then they just plonk out all these eggs. It's crazy. But speaking of crazy things that reptiles do, so we have our live streams a lot of times with Troy of Balls and Strikes Pythons, and he showed off this animal of his. I don't remember the exact genetics, but I know it's like OD pied, of course, and
I think it's OD hypopide. Yeah.
And that's what she on the left. That's what she looked like as a baby, and then over time, she just started to change colors. And now she looks like a good axanthic hypopide, basically.
Yeah, completely different looking color wise.
Yeah, like where'd your OD go, girl? And there's like a mid transition picture, and so and we showed a video on it. You can check up on our old live streams. So you're missing out on some weird stuff there, but when we were talking about this, we actually got an email from another person named Leslie Schwint. She said, "Hey, I'm the one that commented on one of your videos about my corn snake, Sally, who changed colors on me really late in life. I've attached photos of the color change so you can see it. She's a 2018 Ghost Motley corn snake I've had since she was about 1.5 years old. Most of her color change happened in just a single shed last fall when she was 6.5 years old. So she sent some pictures, including one just taken in this past March. She's asked several different breeders, including Don Soderberg, as well as a handful of other longtime corn breeders, and it seems no one can explain why this would happen. I've also not been able to find anybody else who's seen a color change like this in corn snakes, and
especially that late in life.
Yeah, it's super weird. And so she's definitely interested in hearing whatever thoughts or input you might have, especially at you, Ben, as a geneticist. But
kind of like what we said to Troy is like it's so rare and weird. Like it's hard to know for sure what's going on.
Right.
Interesting.
So Yeah. So here's like an ancient baby picture from 2021, just in like, I think Facebook Messenger. And so like I'll zoom in on it and you see, baby corn snake got that nice yellow on the neck and around the sides and looks kind of pinkish. Very standard ghost motley, I believe. And then again, another older picture where she's gotten a little bigger. This is 2023. And apparently she was helping out with like education
So
stuff. And
that's at like 5 years, right?
yeah,
This
yeah,
is
that's
2018.
this is 2018 animal. Yeah. So I guess that would be about 5 years old. And here she is after her shed in March 2025. What are you
I
doing,
think
girl?
I remember when she was talking in the chat, she said that, yeah, some of my friends didn't believe it was the same snake. I can see why.
Yeah.
That's totally different looking.
Like even the yellows, because a lot of times as corn snakes, depending on the morph, of course, like as they grow, you'll get more yellow around the cheeks and the sides of the neck there, and sometimes like along the belly and such. But where to go?
Especially because that's like 7 years later that it took that
Yeah.
long, and even at 5 years, it was very light. It almost seems like it would have to be something environmental. If it was a
maybe.
genetic thing, I don't know how the genetics would work to where it would control the pigments for so long, that many years, and then, switch somehow the gene expression to change the coloration. I don't know. That's crazy.
Was she exposed to a solar flare or something? Just stick her out in the sun for too long.
Yeah, it sounds like a superhero story or something.
It does. That's amazing. And like
That is funky.
Like weird color changes are not uncommon in the Pantherophis genus because their buddies rats, the black rat snakes, they're very spotted as youngsters, and then they go through an ontogenic change to darken up. But that is again ontogenic and is unheard of, even as far as my knowledge, in any part of the Pantherophis genus for this sort of thing to happen. So, girl, Sally, what are you doing? That's crazy.
But yeah, if any of you out there, you yourself or people have, weird things happen, we'd love to hear about it. And if there's enough of them happening, we'd love to get sheds and do some sequencing and see if we can find some genetic, information or at least markers that go along with whatever traits. These kind of weird stories, we love seeing the pictures and hearing them.
For sure. Yeah, that's wild. Thank you for sharing with us, Leslie. That was fantastic. These are such interesting animals. I love them. So that was very cool. Thank you, Leslie. But yeah, as far as, so you'll see that sort of thing. We love talking about these, if not on our Reptile Genetics Weekly show, also on our live stream Thursdays. Tommy of Inky Clouds is going to be there this week, and she's got some cool stuff in store for us. So definitely don't miss it. Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you're at work, see if you can, maybe join us during your lunch break or something. Or some people are just like, yeah, I'm just pretending to work, but I'm watching with you guys. So, just don't get caught. Then it's fine.
Yeah, you don't get caught, you can't get in trouble. And
Exactly.
we'll be there this Thursday. I might have to take at least 1 week off next week. I've got lots of stuff coming, which obviously we'll be talking about on this show once it all shakes out. But things are getting really busy. So, but yeah, this Thursday we'll still be doing it.
Awesome. We've had people asking about our hunt for old school lesser and butter sheds from purchased pre-2010. If you guys have those or know somebody who does have these lineages, it'll help us figure out this mysterious extra blue-eyed Lucy mutation that's apparently been floating around. So maybe the people who were butter believers, they could see a difference between butter and lesser, people, they're validated because they're maybe y'all were right.
It's looking like it.
So help us figure it out. We'd love to validate you guys. And just in general, ball python sheds that we're looking for. We've added Daddy, Redhead, and Zuwadi there to like our priorities up top, but any of these that you see on the list are definitely stuff that we can use right now. So homozygous forms are the most useful, but we can use hets as well. Just as long as they're like, you're 100% sure that it is what that animal is. If you're not sure, then maybe not for this time around. Yeah, let's go ahead and bring on our guest today, AG of Koil Snakes.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, hi,
Thanks
AG.
for coming on.
There were some crazy morph names on that last slide.
I know, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
I've heard of half of those. Yeah,
Fair enough.
shed testing is fascinating. How it just
Right.
keeps evolving and evolving and evolving.
Mm-hmm. For
Yes,
sure.
and as far as in this industry, it's still brand new. Like 2.5 to 3 years in, that's nothing. They've been doing bird sex determination for over 25 years, so we're way behind, but we're catching up.
Are they doing shed testing in other reptile species, or is it new to ball pythons?
As far as commercially available widely, we're the first to do anything. In 2017, we had a colubrid sex determination test. And then we added ball python morphs and then sex determination in like 2022. There have been some other tests. I know somebody worked on a Heloderma sex determination test and a Komodo dragon sex determination test. And I think even some zoos used at least the Komodo dragon one for a little bit, but just wasn't good enough. So anyway,
so all these mutations we have documented, this is just brand new in the reptile industry to ball pythons right now. Will there be a way, and maybe there is now, and forgive me for not knowing, where that DNA is on file and then a new mutation is discovered, and then I can message you guys and say, hey, you guys just sequenced, Cosmos or something, right? Whatever the name is. Then you could go back to that old shed, look at the DNA, see if it's in there, and then say, hey, yes, it is, or...
Yes. Yeah, that's been a goal that we've been working toward, and we keep having struggles. We do that kind of sequencing, and so we do have that information for some. I think we have close to 700 animals now that we have pretty high quality, 700 just ball pythons, that we have high enough quality that we could go and do just what you just said. So like, we wouldn't even need to go back to the shed. Like I could just pull up a file from like, last May and be like, okay, let's see if this animal has Cosmos. And I could just, go to that part of the DNA and just look and see if it's there or not. So that's something that we thought about that we would like to make available. And then not only would that just be for new morphs, but it could also be for markers we find are there for females that have larger clutches or clutches more frequently, or maybe they, in a healthy way, grow to sexual maturity faster. There's a lot of things that people do, like in the cattle industry and in poultry. That's the kind of stuff I helped with when I was a grad student. We should be able to find genetic markers for those kinds of things in ball pythons and other reptiles. And so that would be another thing. So it'd be what we were kind of picturing in our minds is you could pay for this essentially an identity test for your individual animal. So you would always be able to identify if somebody had a question, they bought it or trade or get it from this or that, and you could send a shed in and say, hey, is this registered animal? That would be easy. We can do paternity. We could do relatedness. If there's other animals that have also had that sequencing depth, we can say, okay, these ones are this kind of relation, or you could pick ones that are less related so you have more genetic diversity. But then also we could go in and find Cosmos or find, a larger clutch size marker, things like that. So you could essentially just pay like, I don't know, whatever you need to get that done originally. And then like every year or 3 years or whatever, be another charge. And then you just like update and get all the new information. We just reanalyze your animal for all the new stuff we have.
That's fascinating. I couldn't imagine being in ball pythons without this. Like years ago, everything's on paper, and you have to prove everything out. That to me is, I would be way less interested.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, one of the chat things I was in just this morning, some of them were talking about before morph market and before king snake and then before fauna and then before the internet. Like I remember a little bit of that when I was first as a teenager. There wasn't any internet stuff really, not very much at all. And then once I was about 17, 18, 19, 20, there started to be, but yeah, it was much more difficult. And then getting information about how to keep and breed was way harder also.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard some of the guys say I've heard one of my buddies tell me what it was like when he started. There's all these different rumors and different bad advice you were given, and and can't do with your snakes, and no one knew if you were being told the truth or not. There's no way to check it or confirm it or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a pretty wide spectrum of people that were super nice and happy to help and mentored a lot of people. And there are also people that were happy to take your money, but they were not going to tell you a single thing about how to be successful. So
yeah, those guys exist in a lot of different industries, and I always feel like eventually they go away. And maybe it's just a jiu-jitsu thing, but having done jiu-jitsu for almost 35 years is like, if somebody hits a move on you, there's no secrets. They'll teach you exactly what they just did to you. You know, where I know I work in the leather industry, and a lot of the old timers, they won't share anything. It's a closely guarded secret. It's grandma's secret recipe that they're never going to share. Our philosophy is completely different. Is we share everything with everybody, and it makes the whole entire industry way better. And I think it comes from jiu-jitsu, just because a guy will share anything with you. You know, I mean, even in MMA, if a guy hits a combo on you, hits you in the liver and the face, he'll show you exactly what you just did wrong to make that happen. And I think in other industries, they're going to be like, "No, it's my secret sauce. I'm not going to share it." I always never go very far.
Yeah,
definitely like the philosophy of rising tide, brings everyone up. I like that philosophy. That's much more enjoyable.
So with 30, 35 years in the jiu-jitsu world and the leather world, what got you into snakes? Who is AG of Koil Snakes, I guess?
So I own a company named Toehold. We make really, really high-end flip-flops, the most expensive in the world. And if you compare it to, let's say, the snake industry, there's $2 flip-flops you could buy at the gas station, and then there's thousands of dollar flip-flops you could buy from us. So there's just a different scale on what we do. Like those ones on the top left, those are the current world record at $5,000. The most expensive leather flip-flops ever sold in the world. More than Louis Vuitton, more than Hermes, more than all the big fashion brands.
Wow.
And all the leather we use is all ethically sourced. So like the African elephant you see there, it comes over on CITES tags over from Africa. And it's usually an animal that either died of natural causes, or it had a depredation tag, or it was a nuisance animal that was like, wrecking a village, and the government had to dispatch it.
Right.
The money we spend for those hides all goes directly back to park funding for like anti-poaching, things like that.
Oh, that's cool.
The Western countries have a whole different outlook on what Africa is like. Africa it's wild. It's wild, crazy. It's lawless. Like those guys poaching rhinos over there. Over here, if you ask somebody, would you kill a rhino? The three of us would probably say not for any amount of money, right?
Yeah.
Over there, they're destitute. They make $4 a month, and they could get $30,000 to poach a rhino, and that could take their
life-changing amount of money
living in a village with no running water to moving to another village where you could get your kids' education and you could like change your whole family. So what they're combating over there is on a level with Westerners don't even realize. And everyone wants to save the animals, but nobody writes a check. We write huge checks every month, and it goes to park funding, animal conservation, because through park funding, they educate them and say, hey, listen, just get the one that did it. We're going to subsidize your field with this money that comes in from companies like ours, and leave the other ones alone. Otherwise, they'll want to master all of them. That's kind of how that balance works over there. And the Western countries don't realize, the nuances that go on in Africa.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, there's a lot of misunderstandings. And again, you also run into the, people want to save the animals, but they also don't want to address the systemic issues that cause people to be in that extreme poverty. And yeah, it is a hamster ball of ethical considerations. So yeah, being able to help out those people and subsidize the damage, and while also not and subsidizing the damage that's done by wildlife while allowing them to coexist with them, I think that is rock on. I think that's pretty good.
And then, so we deal with really high-end leather, and the question always comes up: do you use snake leather? Snake leather sucks. It's some of the worst leather on earth.
It's very thin.
It's
thin,
it's brittle. Like we've been offered like invasive python countless times. We've used it a couple times. It's junk. It doesn't meet our insanely high qualities that we demand. And then you think of the leather in this world, like we think of diamonds and gold as being like really rare, right? Everybody has a diamond. You walk through a grocery store, you'll see 20 girls with diamond rings on. Yeah. You won't see the leather that you just looked on that page or the leather in our shop. You won't see that almost anywhere in the country. It's extraordinarily rare, and most humans have never seen it before.
Yeah. And plus diamonds are like artificially scarce anyway. That's its whole thing. Yeah.
Like shoes, like a $600 pair of Nikes, they cost $3.50 to make, but they limit the quantity. So then they're like, hey, these are super rare, Travis Scott or whoever the guy is, and they get a guy to buy them for $600. The stuff we make is really expensive to buy. It's expensive to hand make. It's expensive to produce in the US.
So there's actually a reason for the price tag.
Yeah, when you see $1,000 pair of flip-flops, it may not be in your budget, just like a $25,000 snake might not be in some people's budget. But if you're a collector and you really want that piece and it's in your budget, or if you want something super rare that's durable, going to last forever, and it's unlike anything else, you got different types of customers.
Fair enough.
So
cool. I think
snakes. So I bought a snake as a pet back in August of last year. And then I went on, I was like, these things are really cool. So I started watching YouTube videos on how do you care for them? Where do they live in? What's the right temperature? Yeah. And through that, you start realizing there's things like there's tubs and there's racks, to keep them, and there's different mutations and stuff like that. So I went on a buying spree solely as a collector, no intention to breed, no intention to do anything other than just keep snakes as pets. I didn't care I didn't care what the morphs were. I just cared on the visual example of the snakes. And I went on
just like that they were pretty.
That's it. I just like the way they look.
And they're gorgeous. Yeah.
Crazy buying spree on Morph Market from like August till December. And then,
as one does.
And then around January, I was talking to my buddy Steve from Las Vegas Ball Pythons, and I was like, "Hey, I want to get that snake. How come nobody will sell that to me?" He's like, "Oh, dude, that's a holdback, bro. No one will sell you that snake unless you give them 2 giant bags of money. They're not going to sell you that snake." And I was like, "Crazy? Why?" He started talking about breeding and stuff, and I was like, "Well, I'll just make my own snakes then." So it wasn't until January this year that I really got into breeding. So am I a breeder? I mean, I've done a few, like I call them bastard clutches, where like some of the pet grade stuff I bred it just to get the eggs, get the clutches going, go through that experience. Nothing remarkable is going to come out of them. But deciding to want to breed stuff has only been this year. So I think only maybe 5 months into it. So I have no experience from a breeding standpoint. I only have business experience, a lot of it, and I have customer experience from a collector, a guy who came in with a few bucks in his pocket. And keep in mind, I grew up super poor. So any money that I have, I worked really, really hard to get. And I just went buying, and I seen a lot of holes in our industry. I seen a lot of opportunities for us to get better. And I seen a lot of really remarkable people that were just, top level at customer service, so it really seen a blend of everything. And my viewpoint is solely that as like just a customer and a buyer and somebody going out to buy, to buy snakes.
Yeah. And
that's a big part of what I liked. I heard you on MJ's podcast, and just that fresh perspective. So what would you say, maybe like in a nutshell, is some of our, like if you talked about business practices generally, what are some of our strengths, maybe 2 or 3 strengths that we have in general in the reptile industry or ball python specifically, and then what are kind of 2 or 3 of our weaknesses?
So the communication within the community is really good. You know, if someone's doing something bad, if somebody has a disease, if somebody's doing something unethical, you guys communicate amongst yourselves really quick and police that. You know, I seen a guy, and I've only been in for a little while. Some guy was juggling ball pythons. You guys got rid of that guy.
Oh yes, I remember that.
Somebody with like 6 snakes at a show. You guys got rid of them. So like being able to police stuff, people reselling snakes on Morph Market that they don't own, like somebody else has that snake, but they're selling a picture of that snake.
Mm-hmm.
You guys police that stuff extremely well. So that stuff, you know, is really good. The dedication and the knowledge and the understanding of like the mutations and the love of the animals, you know, for the most part, as a general whole, the people in this love the animals. That to me is really, really important. You know, some people get into any business just for the money. And when you do that, you're always going to sacrifice something. It's usually going to come at the care of the animal or the care of the staff or the care of, you know, whatever that product is. Mm-hmm. But the people who do this genuinely love the animal. So those 2 are gigantic wins within the community.
Good.
Yeah, for sure. When you're dealing with animals, I think it should be that way. You know, your husbandry first and then your sales second. There is a way to make those 2 work together well.
Absolutely. I got a philosophy. I pick up all of my snakes every week, you know, a couple a day. So I take out, and I only have probably right now, I dwindled down to just my best snakes. So I have about 60 snakes, maybe a little bit more than 65. Every Sunday, everyone gets picked up. I clean their tubs. I'll hold them with one hand while I change their water, stuff like that. And I just want to get them to not flinch, not be stressed when they see me. Yeah. I bought some snakes from some of my buddies, and I was like, bro, is this thing wild? Did you just get this thing? Like, it looks like it's never seen a human before. It's so skittish and freaked out, like at the sight of a human. I don't want my snakes like that. I want them chill, relaxed. Even when I close the tub, you know, when the shadow goes over their head, they flinch. I'll just close it nice and gentle, just because I don't want to add any stress to their life.
I love it. Yeah, I try to do the same with mine. I try to make sure that all my critters are. I try to make sure that everybody gets handled. Like, if not every day, then like every other day. Granted, I don't have 60 animals. I have like 11. Granted, when these hatchlings come out, it's going to be a lot more. But you know, I think once a week, especially with a large collection, is very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
You guys asked about, you know, the wins or what you guys do well. There's also a lot of stuff that some people do poorly. But it's not a ball python thing. It's not a reptile thing. It's just some people are overall bad at business. And I think the part of business they're bad at is, it's not that, you know, business is its own entity, although it obviously is in a lot of ways. It's psychology that they're bad at. Human psychology people lack, you know, severely. And because of that, their business suffers, you know. And I'll give you a couple examples. And I've said these examples before, but these are real examples where I was up late at night on Morph Market buying snakes. And I messaged a guy and I was just like, hey, that snake's really cool. Do you have a picture of his belly? And his response back was, it's too cold outside. That was his response. No context, no. I had to just linger and figure out, does that mean like you have to go outside to take the picture? Is it in a separate building that you need to walk out to? Like, I didn't understand the context.
Yeah.
That was his response, okay? And this was probably, I don't know, maybe $1,000. I don't remember what it was. But I was on a buying spree that night. I probably spent between 20 and 40 grand that night just buying snakes. And it could have been that guy, right? At least I would have bought that snake from him. Yeah. But you ask that guy, hey, how's the industry? He's going to say, you know what? It's kind of soft. No one's buying. People are tire kickers. Well, it's not that. You're just terrible at customer service. And if you would have logged that snake properly when you put it up for sale, I wouldn't have needed to ask you for a picture of the belly because you would have already had a picture of the belly. You would have had a clear description because that's what everybody wants. Tell me exactly what I'm getting. and put the morphs in order. Don't try to hide pastel in the back or any of that weird stuff. And give me the pairing. I want to know the pairing because I'm going to ask, what was the pairing? If you have pictures of mom and dad, that's over and above. That's awesome. Picture of the head, picture of the belly, good lighting. Give me a white background picture. Give me a hand picture out in the sunlight. Like, give me some photos. So I don't need to ask you any questions. All I need to do is just click buy. But if you just throw one poor picture up there and a weak description, guess what? You're requiring every single person who might be interested to ask you and eventually be tire kickers, because what you could have answered with a good description, when you answered, it turns out that's not what they wanted, and they become a tire kicker. So you put everything up there, you spend the extra few minutes to do it the first time, and then that's just out there sitting. Like, think of it like a crab trap or a lobster trap. If you bait it correctly and you have your line set up and you have your buoys, you have all your stuff, or even if you're fishing, if you have everything set up correctly, once you throw that line out there, leave it, go to the next one. But if that one's done poorly, you might have that line in the water for hours all day, and the bait's already fallen off. You know what I mean? It's just sitting there doing nothing. Like, no one's interested in it,
Yeah.
Well, people are nibbling at it, but it's only little fish that aren't really interested, So just the psychology of understanding to how to do that stuff. And then branding, like, a lot of guys will, and this isn't a snake thing, this is a company thing. A lot of guys will hide on their product. Like, what is their product? We make the best flip-flops in the world. If I just hung off those laurels, we wouldn't be nearly as successful as we are. Our product being the best in the world is worth zero. That's worth zero accolades. That's just the price of admission to get on the field, okay? It's everything you do above and beyond that's going to make you stand out. So let's say I'm going to use Cosmo just because it's a newer morph and I like the way it looks. Let's say day one, I have Cosmo, just discovered it. I post a terrible picture or a good picture, whatever it is, and it's a beautiful mutation. Everybody likes it, but I suck at customer service, right? I suck at interactions. I suck at conversation. I just overall have a poor business model. That mutation, that product, is only going to carry itself so far. It's only going to carry the guys that absolutely want to get it and are willing to weed through all the BS to get it. But somebody who might be on the fence, it's like, you know what? It's 40 grand. I'll take it. F it. I'll take it. You're going to miss out those guys too. And you're going to miss out guys that may not be able to buy it right now, but they're shopping and they liked what you said. They like how you interacted with them. They liked you as a person, and they're getting the money together and they're coming back, right? So when you run your ball python business, maybe you have the potential to make $100 grand a year. Maybe you have the potential to make $500,000 a year. Maybe you have the potential to do $1 million a year, but your picture sucks. That 100 grand goes down to 90 grand because you lost those customers that just clicked right through your pictures, right? Then your descriptions were poor. So now you're at 80 grand. And then you just keep working that back and you're like, hey, honey, we made 30 grand this year on ball pythons. You shouldn't be that excited. Even if you do $500,000, don't be that excited because you left another $500,000 on the table by how poorly you were running your business. So business is really about optimization. Okay. The people hide behind the product. The product isn't worth anything. It's how well you do everything else, how well you communicate with your customers, how well you tell your message, and think about what the message is. If the product is worth nothing, then don't hide behind the morphs. Don't hide behind that you're the only guy with those mutations, because there's a lot of people that might want them, but they're not going to buy from them because it's all the other factors that you're leaving out, right? How good does your logo look? Where's your logo displayed? There's two places. It's on Instagram in that little circle, and it's on Morph Market in that little circle. If it looks poor in both those places, that's where 95% of people are going to see it. You do with super graphics and small print, I can't see it. If you do a triangle, it's a circle. It's not going to fit. You notice how our logo looks. You can see it in every one of those formats on all the different social media platforms because that's where it's going to be displayed the most. Right?
Yeah.
Your logo, your communication, your packaging, like those are the big things that really display your company. The snake is going to come and it's going to go, right? But that snake, if it's beautiful, it's the best example, stuff like that. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but that's just the product. Remember, the product's not worth anything. You don't get any pats on the back for having a good product, okay? That's automatic. You should already be doing that. If your product is poor, your whole thing is just going to come down and collapse. And we've seen guys, I've only been doing this for a little bit, but I've seen guys and I was like, oh man, that guy's snake examples suck. You know, I'll say it. I don't care. His examples suck. And then next thing you know, he's getting out. Why? It's because you've been selling junk to everybody. It doesn't look good. Like we're literally we're in the art business. And if you don't you're selling the name, not the example. And we need to shift that where who cares about the name? The example is the most important thing.
Yes.
And if everybody has yellow belly, but this yellow belly is better, that's the one we should be buying. We shouldn't be buying the low quality one because then you're going to be making poor examples of that snake. And then when you start stacking those mutations, you're like, how come this one with these mutations and this one with the same mutations, they look different? It's because those examples were all terrible to start with. Your ingredients, making food, you start off with poor ingredients and the end product was poor. Yeah. So there's a lot to this. You know what I mean? There's a lot to it when it comes to business. So it's your brand, it's your logo, it's how well you communicate. And then what are you selling? You're selling me a photo of a snake and a story, right? If you do both those things poorly, I'm not going to want to buy it from you because I got thousands of other pictures to look at. This thing right here in our hands, I talk about all the time. It's not technology. Phones have been around since the 1800s and computers were invented in the 1930s. So you can't be like, dude, I suck with technology. No, you don't. You're just lazy and you refuse to learn new modern things.
Woo! Shots fired.
You have the ability to increase all of your revenue and to drive a business. I make $1 million from this stupid thing. I make more than that, but I make $1 million from this stupid phone right here. That's it. Just sitting right here in this chair like this all day. You know what it takes to make $1 million in the corporate world? The amount of like years as an executive and the cutthroat BS and being away from your family all day and all that nonsense people have to do. And most guys will never do it. You get a nice CEO, he makes $400,000 a year. That's like, that's insane. That's unbelievable. It's remarkable. Who could ever do that? We could all do it. We could do it right here from our phone. You just got to optimize all of your stuff. And with that, stop guessing at your mutations. Stop it. Because I bought 40 snakes and out of 40 snakes, well, I bought 150 snakes, but 40 of them were all wrong. So that's the third of my collection that I bought were wrong. So guess what? You start off with every snake breeder starts off with an A, okay? Start off with an A, just like in school. Then I look at your logo. Your logo kind of sucks. I don't know what it says. Your description sucks. Your pictures suck, right? Your combos are weird. Like, why'd you pair those snakes together? And guess what? Your grade starts to drop. I don't want to buy a snake from a guy with a C- or a girl with a C-. You know what I mean? You have to have all your stuff together. It needs to look good. And we're incentivized to be wrong with our IDing.
Because if you have that extra gene,
that's definitely lace. Come on, that's definitely lace. I'm going to get an extra 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, right? We're incentivized to be wrong with our mutations. We were looking at some photos of the expo we went to a couple months ago. We're looking back at photos on this snake that this guy he wasn't trying to sell it to us, but he was showing us the example. He's like, look at this thing, dude. It's Orange Dream, Spot Nose Clown, Lace. I think that's what it was. I think it was OD, Spot Nose Clown, Lace. He had 2 of them side by side. He's like, this one has lace, this one doesn't. And I was thinking to myself, that doesn't look any different. Identical. If you mix those snakes up, I'd have no idea the difference, right? And then we took a picture of them and we were looking at the pictures last night. And if you look at the marker where it was a pink marker, he drew like the Orange Dream, Spot Nose Clown. You could tell lace was written later. You could tell it was written after the fact, okay? So that guy, in my opinion, just added lace on because he's at an expo and like, maybe you missed the odds. Bro, you missed the odds. I don't know what happened, right? He was confident, but he's incentivized to add that extra mutation because there's more money. Stop doing that. I don't buy anything now that's like higher end unless it's tested. If it's not tested, pass. I go right by you. Nah, you know what, man? I was going to test it. I decided not to. See ya. I'll go spend 17 grand somewhere else. You know, I'll go spend 5 grand somewhere else. So shed testing to me, I'd have zero interest in doing this if shed testing didn't exist. And is it perfect? It's compared to IDing, yes, it's perfect. Compared to the way guys ID, it's perfect. Because I've had 2 instances where things were questionable with shed testing, and they were both intelligently explained as to what the reasons were. The 40 guys who mis-ID'd the snakes were like, well, it looked like that to me. Did it? Dude, can we get rid of this whole POS thing and 50% stuff? That just needs to go away. That needs to go away. I'm never buying anything POS. I've never hit a POS or a 50% ever. Out of all the snakes I tested, not one of them ever proved.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so, we get screenshots sometimes of people selling stuff. Like one of them I got sent was like a $900. It was up for auction, and it was, you know, POS double head or POS triple head or whatever. And, you know, people were kind of saying online, just like you said, we police each other pretty good. And, you know, people behind the scenes are like, why would you not? And this is someone that knows us that do the testing.
Do you hate more money?
Like,
hate the extra
why would you not test it? And if does that mean that he did test it and it was negative and he's still trying to get at least some extra money? So, yeah, it makes it, and Justin Kabelka has talked about this too. It makes it better business practice where you can ensure to a higher degree. Obviously, nothing's ever going to be perfect, but to a higher degree, you can make sure that whatever your customer expects is what they're going to actually get. And that's going to make it more fun. That's going to make it more enjoyable. That's going to help you whenever you're working towards a project, more likely to be successful and produce what you want to produce. All of that becomes higher quality and more enjoyable. And that's really, at the end of the day, you know, it's good to make money. It's good to spend time with animals, but like, you know, it's those happy, exciting experiences. Like that's, I think most of us that work with, you know, especially the reptiles that hatch out of eggs. Like for me, I'm very addicted to seeing babies come out of eggs.
Yes.
It would be very sad to not have that, you know?
Can you imagine wasting 3 to 5 years breeding something?
Oh, I've done that.
$40.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I had one male who was several different mutations, but he was possibly yellow belly and possibly het clown. And so I bred him to a lot of females over 3 or 4 years, hoping that he was at least one or the other. And he ended up being negative for both. So.
No.
Yeah.
But by the time I was done breeding him and I knew he didn't have those, that was about the same time we got the clown and the pied tests. And so I had some males that were pieds, posset clowns, some clowns that were posset pied. And so I tested all of them once I could, and I picked my 2 males and I used them. And the next year I made the posset clown males, made clowns for me, the posset pied male made, you know, pieds for me. Like it all, you know, worked out beautifully and pushed everything forward much faster.
Shoot, I'm doing it right now with my hognose snakes. It's been 4 years. I'm finally getting viable eggs from them. Posset lavender, posset albino. I'll finally know if they have those, because those are like, corals are pretty nice, especially if they're super arctics, which these might have a 50-50 shot of being. So, oh my God, I can't wait for hognose testing.
We'll talk offline because I want to get a hognose as a pet, but something really cool looking. So we'll talk offline.
I got you. Yeah.
The more I look at them, the more I like them. At first, I was like, man, that's an ugly snake. But the more I look at it, I was like, these things are super cool looking.
It's good ugly. It's good ugly.
For sure. They move different than a regular snake. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And if people come in your snake room and they're not keeping reptiles yet, it's so good to be able to show them a hog. So many people are like, oh, that nose is so cute.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, how can you be afraid of, like, look at his face. It's ridiculous. And especially the males, they fit in your pocket.
Are they rare tooth venomous? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but the toxicity
it doesn't matter.
It's not bad. It's not like a boom sling.
Yeah, exactly. Wasping. Yeah, I've been bitten once by my female because she was eating her mouth. She had some bedding sticking out of her mouth. And I was like, I'm just going to pluck that real quick. And she happened to reach forward and grab my finger. And I was like, oh, well. And luckily they have you can just basically use their nose as like a pop top. You can just pop them off. But I decided, I'm just going to let her chew, see what happens. And I could feel like some tingling going up my arm, but that was it.
Interesting.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, when my friends come over and see my snake room, they always ask if anything's venomous. I'm like, I don't know, dude. I just tell my
I don't know, man. You want to find out?
I don't know.
So during this journey where you started purchasing animals, at what point during it did you first hear about the genetic testing? Was that pretty early on, or was that after you had a few animals?
I won't say any names, but one of the old school guys that's been around forever, like a legend in this, I asked him about it. I heard about it online or something in a video. Anything I do, I go right to YouTube and I go deep on stuff. So I asked him about shed testing. He's like, it's not really accurate. It's not accurate. And I remember thinking to myself, I watch a lot of crime shows. I've seen a lot of dudes do life in prison off DNA. I think it's pretty accurate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I see all those true crime shows and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that immediately made me think, why would somebody not want to shed test? So I start doing my analytics in my brain. I was like, it's better when you're selling POS stuff. It's better to sell POS stuff because you could charge more money. It doesn't need to be that. It could possibly be something. And I bought some snakes. I bought some pastel, puzzle. I don't know if they were 50% or POS Desert Ghost. I think they were POS. I think they sold them as like POS Desert Ghost.
Yeah.
Of course, none of them proved out. None of them tested for Desert Ghost. They never do, nor they never would. You know what I mean? So I was looking at this guy's collection that was getting out, and I was just going through his list, and it was just this POS, all the way down the list. I was like, bro, you don't have anything. You don't have anything. There's no other industry where you would sell anything that's possible, right? I'm going to sell you this gold. Yeah. It could be 8 karat, could be 24 karat, right? You're going to pay an 18 karat gold price, but it could be either one. That's insane, dude. It's insane that we do this. And I'm sure the old school guys and some of the guys that are in the new school, there's a reason why they like it, but get it tested because I got money to buy whatever I want, and I'm not going to buy it if it's POS. You know what I mean? And if it turns out, so example, except from Justin, I've never bought lace that turned out to be lace. All the lace I bought, it's all fake. Every single one of them.
Oh,
that
is so frustrating.
Sure is what the guy's term was on one of the guys. Like a 99% sure. Some guys made it right. Some people didn't. You know what I mean?
That 1%'s carrying a lot of weight there.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's nothing like, I'm terrible at IDing. I could tell you this looks just like that. Like it doesn't take much to see the differences.
Yeah.
Especially with something like that. Easy stuff. Hypo, DG, things that are like bright. You can tell, is it bright or is it not? That's like normal human stuff, But so for the most part, shed testing proved that all the stuff I bought was not what I thought it was, right? And shed testing also proved that some of the stuff I bought turned out to be way better than I expected. And the way better stuff turned out to be worth way more than all the stuff I lost out on. And we joke about that as like one of my buddies I bought stuff from, he's really conservative. So he's like, if I'm not positive, you know what I mean? He's like, you're not going to pay for it, but it might be this or this, but you're only paying for what it actually is,
Yes.
So I wound up buying 5 snakes from Las Vegas ball pythons, all from the same clutch. 4 of them turned out to be all het monsoon.
Woo!
So 2 of them were spot nose clown, triple het, hypo DG monsoon. One of them was a quad, het, so a hypo DG clown monsoon, and one of them was a spot nose quad hypo DG clown monsoon. So And what triggered
I was just going to ask that question. Why did you test it?
So one of these, like, there's people online that are just unbelievable ideas, they're almost like Albert Einstein of IDing snakes. So she had said, hey, those are definitely het monsoon. And my buddy was like, it's not in the pairing. I don't think so. So he did a little bit of digging, wound up testing the mom after like her really pushing him that like, these are het monsoon. The babies, and I sent you a picture of one. Yeah. They were like, these are definitely het monsoon.
It's
no, that was the one.
Oh, this was the one?
That was the one that they said was het monsoon. Visually turned out it wasn't. But all the siblings were.
Oh, okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So they seen something in this snake. I think some of the speckling across like the dorsal stripe that they said in their eyes. And this is a terrible picture. This was just a quick picture I just took real fast. We have really good pictures. This isn't a picture we put online. This is just like let's get something up for the slide.
Right.
But seeing this snake triggered the testing, and it turns out, we have 4 snakes that are probably some of the better in the, or some of the furthest along in this project. Steve has 6. 4 of them hit the market. So if you bought a snake from Las Vegas ball pythons, you might be sitting on something more than you expected in a good way. Usually it's the opposite. Usually it's like, hey, I bought this het monsoon. It turned out to not be that. This is the opposite, So shed testing helped us progress so much further, in a specific project. Actually, a project that I was interested in, but I was like, I'm too far behind right now. I need to wait until something cool, then maybe like in October when a bunch of snakes come out, and I'll jump in deep in the project. Now we're automatically deep, but we got to make our own mail, because I don't think, and somebody might be sleeping on it and have something better that we don't know. There's always that. But we got to make our own mail, because there's not even a mail. Do you want to pull up the other one? We
got this guy here.
No, keep going.
Female.
That one. So we have 2 of these, the sisters. One's at 1,000 grams, one's at 700 grams.
Dang.
But we need to make our own males for them, because we don't even have like anything to pair with it that's going to be strong,
Man,
but
that's
this
cool.
never happened without shed testing. Never happened.
For sure. And I will say, with your friend who's like very conservative about how he labels his poshets, I think that's the way to do it. Clint Bartley of Metazotics and Colubrid and Colubroid Radio, I'll see him list rat snakes, because both of us are all about those guys. And it'll be like this is a white side. I'm pretty sure it's a white side lavender, just with how light this hatchling is, but I'm not sure. So I'm gonna price it as just a regular white side. That might be het lavender, but you're paying for just a white side. And if it turns out to be lavender too, awesome, fantastic. But otherwise, he's pricing it as that, and you have the extra information about its breeding just in case.
Right.
And I think that's how it should be handled.
And with ball pythons, most of the mutations are testable. So like just test it for sure. So this snake right here, what I love about this snake, and this is just a visual thing I have. For me, the head has to match the body. When it doesn't, the grade of that snake drops dramatically. Like when you see like pastel and the head looks like it's bald and the body is color, personal preference, I look at that and I was like, you got 90% of that snake looks awesome, bro. But if the head, the body, I don't like it. It's dramatically less cool, in my opinion.
So you're not going to make any super vanillas, I guess.
No. No, anything like that, I don't like. So I see gorgeous snakes, but I was like, man, most of that snake is really cool. I mean, I've seen some really cool Cosmo combos where the head is totally different. And I'm like, look, like it's like doing a Miss America contest and they're all butterfaces. Like it doesn't make any sense. The body has to match the head. I don't know why we don't. That's more of an industry thing. But if you can't build a complete snake, then like to me, it's not as good of an example. You know, and I got some that are like that where the head doesn't match the body, but on the next pairing, I'm trying to get them to match, you know, to the best of my ability. And I think that's where it's like, wow, this snake is incredible. I've seen some, God, I don't even know what it was. It was a super nice snake. It was like a DG Clown Exantic, maybe. Am I saying that right?
Yep.
And one of them, the black was bold, solid across the whole head. Another one, the black was faded. And I was like, dude, that snake is like 1/10 of the value, because it's not bold like the other one. It's, you know, the example's dramatically less, but the industry's still big on like, what do these words say? If the words are there, that's what they want. Where the example should be the number one thing. It's like, you know, this snake may not be as strong, but it's a better example, you know, or as long as we're only selling the mutation and not the example, you're going to get guys still selling the POS stuff, because I want the chance of having that in my collection. Where I want the chance, I want the reality of having the best looking example in my collection.
And I think that we are making a really good step in the right direction. Steven from Leviathan Snakes.
Yes, I was hoping
really
to bring this up.
Off. Yeah. So in August, we'll have the first exhibition. We'll have like a best in show kind of a thing for ball pythons. I think it's going to be like 2 or 3 categories of ball pythons, and then like the best gecko at the show, regardless of species. So that Southeastern Reptile Expo in August, that's in Atlanta, Georgia, that Bob Vu's putting on. So that'll be the first time, because you do see it like, you know, at dog shows, and Sean did a lot of fish breeding, a lot of freshwater fish stuff growing up, and you know, he goes to fish shows. He said that their exhibitions or their best in show kind of stuff is so big that breeders that can't come to the show will even ship it from overseas. They'll ship their best example. They'll do specific breedings just to get this one specific look, and they'll ship it in and have it shown at the show, even though they can't be there. But it's such an important part of their industry. Exactly what you're saying, AG, is to say, hey, me as a breeder, this is what I can make. And I can sell you animals from this one or from the parents that made this one. But I'm not just making this color combo. I'm making the best example of this color combo. So I do think now that we have these quads and penta and septa, like we've got all these crazy combos. But I think, AG, you're on the right track. And I think that this exhibition or this best in show kind of idea, you'll be able to go, those of you that can come, I know not everyone's able to make it to Atlanta, but those of you that are there, you'll be able to go up to that section, that exhibition section. You'll be able to see all of them that are there for best recessive or best non-recessive or, you know, best gecko or whatever. You can see all of them. You can actually vote yourself. So there'll be 3 judges, but then the 4th judge will actually be an accumulation of everyone, you know, that's there. You'll scan a QR code and you can put your vote in. I think we're having them ranked from 0 to 5, and you'll put that rank in for each one you want to vote on. And so you're part of the process too, but you also get to see, and then you have that memory, you know, it's like, hey, I was there at the show when that one, you know, won first place for best recessive. And then over time, you know, it could be like the best clown combo, the best DG combo, the best yellow belly or yellow belly complex. Like there's a lot of things that a lot of directions people could go to not only have that word, like AG was saying, in the name, but you can refine that and make it way better, way cleaner, better contrast, like whatever it is.
I love I love that. I think that's, I mean, I hate to say I'm brand new. I'm fresh out the egg, you know what I mean? But what are we going to do? We're going to start stacking 6, 7 recessives. Like there's not even that many cool recessives to stack together. You know what I mean? Like,
and then it doesn't get better. Like 7 isn't necessarily better than 6.
I think in the next few years, we're going to cap out on the multiple recessive thing, and we're going to go to the best example. But think about a guy who has a much different budget, right? He maybe only has a clown pied or a yellow belly pied. Like that guy can't put 20, 30, 40. He can't put $500,000 into his collection. So is he just all automatically going to be unviable as far as like a successful breeder? Or can that guy focus on just a couple of mutations, make the best example? I think a normal just pied still looks beautiful. Like just a pied by itself is beautiful. You know, and like, where's those guys? Where's the guy that's only working on that example? Like, where's he going to exist in all this? You know, I mean, you only have one, you have one recessive in your snake, like your snake's worth $45. Like, that's crazy. Yeah. But if this becomes a shift in the industry, which I think it's going to, some guys will hang on to the old way, like they always do, like everything in life, right? Some guys will stick to riding horses, and some guys will adapt to driving cars, right? And eventually everyone will drive cars, and it'll be nostalgic to ride a horse, you know? And I think that's probably what's going to happen, because I still think some snakes I see, I'm like, dude, that's beautiful. Like, that's perfect. That snake's perfect. Like, to me, Super Hurricane, like by itself, once you start stacking stuff in a Super Hurricane, and you take those beautiful hearts that are opened up, the double biceps, you take those away. I was like, it's diminished.
Yeah.
You know, you're taking away from, like, it was beautiful right now. I got 3 examples that are the 3 best examples I've ever seen. Somebody I'm sure has better ones, but as far as what I've seen, they're the 3 best examples, and I bought them that way. And I'm worried that when I stack them, they're going to be not as cool.
Yep.
Yeah, there's always that possibility.
You know,
I remember the very first GHI Mojave I ever saw just blew my mind. I was like, that is such a cool looking snake.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've seen, some of the clown combos with GHI, are pretty awesome. But like, if you just focused on making really clean, nice, high contrast GHI Mojaves, like, there's some of those people would see from 20 yards away on your table and beeline to your table if you really clean those up,
I found an amazing example on online just this morning, also from Leviathan Snakes. And it was this cute little thing they called the granny test, where, ranking ball python morse and combos on how well they pass the granny test, or how likely your granny is to stop and, stare at a snake at a show. And they go through and, honorable mention, axanthic. But, albinos, the classic, cool red eyes, and people who focus down on just really good looking albinos. Yeah. And, it's kind of tongue in cheek, bananas. They talk about the freckles, blue-eyed Lucy, a good looking white snake, a classic. And, as you mentioned, AG, just a good looking pied.
That looks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
High contrast, beautiful.
Yeah. And this combo, I love purples and snakes. That's why I love my lavenders. So yeah, maybe not the craziest combo. I don't remember what all goes into a Mystic Potion or Purple Passion, but they look good. They have a cool color, cool pattern. And I think, and yeah, no, it's, they don't let, what's the word? It's like not letting progress get in the way of perfection or something like that. Or usually, I think it's usually the other way. Don't let perfection get in the way of progress. But I think in this case, not overdoing it, and then just focusing on what's beautiful and eye-catching. I think you're right, AG, about that.
And then, so if you kind of gauge, like, with logistically, so if it switches to making beautiful examples of snakes, there has to be lineage involved, right? And lineage has to be tested through shed testing, where, this guy won the 5 years in a row, he or she won this blue ribbon. People are going to want that line. And how do you determine you got that line of pied or whatever it is? It's genetic shed testing. You can prove that this is from the lineage of that specific person. And then a breeder can work that, a collector can work that, and a pet owner can work that, or own. You see a snake that's just a beautiful example right now. I don't see how we keep just stacking combos. We have 8 recessives. Like, what are you going to, how crazy those odds are going to be in the future?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to take a decade for each person to hit something. It's going to be nuts.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think it's all going to be example based. Everything's going to be about examples, and people who make the shift now and start putting the best examples into their collection, they're going to be better off. And then the guys that have poor quality, we may see them either switch or get out, or who knows what's going to happen. But we have this beautiful art that we own, living art, and we don't display it very well. You display it by the photos that you take, right? The photos you put up online. This is our king breeder right now, vanilla hypo.
Yeah, speaking of examples.
Yes, he's pretty.
No edits. That's no edits at all. I just snapped that real quick in the tub. But under like a professional camera, this snake is crazy. This sounds wild, but he changes color throughout the day. So the purples will turn darker and lighter. You know, when a snake goes into shed, they start to change.
Yeah.
He shifts throughout the day where he'll look different. And I've showed it to a bunch of people that like he changes color. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. He'll be more yellow some days. He'll be more purple other days. We don't know what's going on with him. His siblings have a similar pattern, but not the coloration that he does.
Interesting.
Some guy said it looks like a ringer that went across the whole body. I don't know enough to make anything. I know when you tested it, you noticed something unusual that popped up, but we didn't know if that exactly was what was causing the color or not. But we'll be watching real carefully as to what he produces in the future and holding back everything he produces.
Oh, he's cool.
He has a little head too, a big fat body.
Oh, chunky. We love it.
He was born with a little head. His head's a smidge. It seems a smidge smaller than normal. He was a runt of the litter.
Oh.
Yeah, but lineage, I think, is going to be really, really important in the future. So
I think so too.
And then the other thing too is like we have these beautiful snakes and we don't get to display them. So I think there's an opportunity. And I seen one guy online, he takes like extremely high-end quality snake pictures, you know, like beautiful black, beautiful lighting in the background, really like National Geographic close up. You can see every scale, like the whole snake's head. I think we need to get more into that stuff where you're able to display the pictures of your snake, like art, you know, within your reptile room. Because we create these things, you take a bad picture on the iPhone, you put it on Morph Market, and like that's the one place is beautiful art. Imagine if you just snapped like a greasy picture of a Picasso with your iPhone and then you poured it in the vault, but like everyone's view of that snake was just this like terrible picture you took on your phone, you know? So I think we got to do a better job of, from a business standpoint, our pictures could always be better. But from an industry standpoint, we should have guys in this industry that take really high quality photos and be able to put a big, beautiful art up on the wall of your snake, of your best snake.
Yes.
Championship breeds, the championship lines, or say, you know, this snake was 2025, you know, winner, or 2000, you know, 1976, you know, double champion, and just have it forever up on the wall and be able to look at the beauty of like. That's a good,
I'll point out, throw in right here. That's a good point. Stephen and Bob, all of you, that's what we should do. We should add that to the competition, that the winners get professional photography done at the show.
Yeah.
I'll send
that would be cool.
I'll send you the link, or maybe if you guys go to our Instagram this week, I'll keep sharing it because I don't know when is this going to come out.
Tonight actually.
Oh, cool.
I'm gonna edit it today.
I'll post it. I don't know this guy. I have no connection to him. He just takes incredible pictures, like the best I've ever seen. National Geographic quality photos.
Ooh, okay.
More guys like that in the industry to take artistic photos of your snakes. But if we do that with the championship snakes, you know, we'll have a record. Because think about 30 years from now, looking back, the way technology and AI and everything's going to work, looking back, like we have to have super good quality pictures of these snakes to be able to show the future. 100 years from now, they'll be like, look what those guys were producing back in 2025.
Yeah. Oh man,
There's the queen.
I love her.
So obviously, in my opinion, pastel takes away from this the example here. Just my opinion. But we picked up this snake from Performance Python. Did I get that right? Yeah, I messed it up last time. Jack's such a good guy. Talk about a guy that makes good examples, Jack at Performance Python, you want to see good examples, like they're only working the best stuff. He hit the pastel. Obviously, pastel doesn't work real well in this combo, but I said, hey, listen, I'll take that snake because I think the odds of missing the pastel are going to be better than the odds of hitting the quad visual. So this one, we want to build an army of quads. I want several males and at least half a dozen females just to be able to plug new stuff in. So let's say we get a new gene. I want to be able to plug that new mutation into a quad visual and be able to have quad heads right away, right off the bat, day one, virtually. So we're going to build a foundation of quads, and we'll do some that don't have pied. We'll do just different variations, but I want just a stack of really powerful, I call them foundation females, so that we can put new stuff into them and immediately be hitting quads. And then with those head monsoons, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, he had a lace that was for a long time the best lace pied I had seen. It had more mutations. I forget what it was. If you go to his sold list.
His sold list? Yeah.
Yeah. The only one that hit one better was that one Justin just hit, the OD quad.
Oh,
that one right there. That's the best looking. That's one of the snakes I've ever seen right there.
Dude. Oh my gosh. Look.
It's questionable. The one Justin hit is pretty damn nice too. But now looking at this again, look at the contrast and the layering on everything, like how white it is, and what do they call those in the back of those saddles? What's the terms we use? See, I don't know anything.
Yeah, saddles.
Look how deep, and like look at the head stamp. That snake is stunning.
Yeah. Oh, she's gorgeous.
I almost bought that snake multiple times. I got so many things we're buying right now that I was like, that's the one I'm gonna regret not getting that one. Tell me that snake. How do you get better than that? Like, how do you get better? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, good head stamp, and it's like she has little islands of color, like with topography that actually would look realistic. Like, that's amazing. Yeah,
the edges, like everything's nice and pixeled on the edges. The oranges are really bright. I mean, there's so much layers to that. It almost looks like a turtle shell, like like a sea turtle shell, and how layered that is. Oh, look at that one.
So pretty.
But this is what you get when you focus on quality.
Yes.
He could duplicate snakes like this over and over again because the ingredients he has are world class. They're the best. And then if you buy a snake like this, you're starting off with really, really good ingredients. You could duplicate and just try to refine that even more.
Yeah. And if you're brand new to it, kind of like AG was talking about earlier, buy a few lower dollar ones too, and get some reps in, get a few clutches, get some babies, get them feeding, that kind of stuff that makes sense. But another point, I may have heard you make it too, AG. I definitely heard other people is like, let's say you want to have 20 clutches a year, so you're going to have 40 females. Guess what? If those 40 females all cost you $50, it's going to be the exact same amount of work as if you have 40 females that cost you $4,000.
Yeah.
So if you can,
everybody has different budgets. See right there, look at that picture. See how there's more like blotching on it. We were talking about earlier. You can see more of like oranges and different colors. It's kind of subtled out now to where it's like it's all one universal shade. It's almost like a cream color. See how it's more of a cream color now?
Yeah. Look at that.
It's getting prettier the older she gets, where normally it'd be the opposite. Normally when they're younger,
pastel.
Yeah. So if it all turns into like one big cream color, she'll be more tolerable to look at. I joke about how ugly pastel makes certain things, but because I like high contrast. Other people look at it and say it's a perfect snake. I like the huge contrast, so this kills the look that I like. But it's a powerhouse snake.
Oh yeah.
So
she's gorgeous.
The goal is to take those ingredients and just try to refine them. Because the pastel example she has is a great pastel. It's a great hypo. It's a great DG clown pied. All 5 of those examples are really nice. Together, they're not making the snake that I visually like to look at. But if you individualize those morphs, they're all super good examples that he has.
For sure. Yeah, no, I'm looking through just all the different snakes he's had listed on Morph Market, and they are clean. They're very, very pretty.
Yeah, they're doing him and Las Vegas ball pythons. Their attention to like quality is unlike any other I've seen. Like it's almost hyper obsessive over like a specific look they're looking for.
Yeah.
And we know the guys that are like, oh, it has that mutation. That's it. I'll take it. They don't even want to see a picture. Yeah. We know the guys, and there's a place for those guys right now, but who knows if there'll be a place in the future, because everything should be switched. In my opinion, it should switch to quality over everything. You know what I mean? There's fast food restaurants, and then there's gourmet restaurants, and there's really nice restaurants that aren't expensive to eat at. They just make really, really good food, and they're affordable. I think that's what we're going to get into with ball pythons.
Yeah,
I think it'd be a good thing in the long run. Plus, health, inbreeding coefficient, having having a low inbreeding coefficient over time, and other things that are more,
like
I guess, performance
body conformation.
Yeah, exactly.
Something I've seen, and this isn't something that I would do or something that we do in the industry, but I seen a guy make a burn ball, and the contrast colors were like, it blew anything we do in the industry away, in my opinion.
I've seen those burn balls. They're cool.
The contrast, I mean, it looked like it was a digital snake. Like it looked, every pixel looked perfect. And it's just crazy. You take those two species, you make a snake. So we can take that example and just be like, let's just keep redefining ball pythons until we get to that level of quality.
Yeah.
I look at that. That's super nice. Who did that?
That is just something I pulled up on Reddit.
Burn ball.
Yeah.
There it is. High contrast. Yeah, look how cool that snake looks. They always have a little bit of a gloss too, where ball pythons have more of a matte look.
Yeah.
A little more iridescent.
These have a high gloss to them.
Wow. Like there's an ancient picture of Bob Clark with one from way back in the day. This is on SA Reptiles forums.
That just hatched some in the Philippines. And they look super cool. I think they're pastel clown, maybe. They look really, really nice.
Yeah.
Let's see that albino burn ball.
Oh, yeah, this one. Yeah, that picture on Reddit.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Wow.
Golly.
I would take that as a pet. Can you imagine if we hit that in the ball python industry?
That would be popular.
Imagine if we hatched one of those, it'd be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that head stamp. You see how the head matches the whole body? That's my standard. That's my ideal snake, is from snout to tail, the whole snake looks like it matches. And some guys may like the opposite. I've seen like bull snakes where like the first, it's 8-10 inches look one, the middle is different, the tail is different. Beautiful, but not my thing. This is my thing right here.
It's cool.
Like, look at the flames on the side. What would we call this thing? We have to name this.
Man.
I think of lava. That looks lava-y to me.
Yeah.
It needs
so cool.
The name.
It's also got butterflies all over it.
It does, yeah.
The name is so important. If you have a bad,
it's part of the marketing.
Yeah, that's cool looking.
Yeah.
People at home can see this, right?
Yeah, they can. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Too cool.
Yeah, I might need to make those after all. A pet.
Yeah, some of those Franken snakes turned out really crazy. Some of the I did a lot of carpet python breeding several years back, and some of the green tree python, carpet python crosses that have some morphs in there. Some of those were really crazy too.
Yeah.
That's another one. I love the contrast on those carpet pythons.
They're beautiful. Yeah.
So with shed testing, with clutch, I couldn't imagine. I would be way less interested in being in this industry if those two things didn't exist. I mean, clutch to me, every day, every record, every bit of information I have on that snake, who the parents were, if there's pictures of the parents, I track all that stuff just meticulously. Yeah. There's a lot of room for improvement they could do with their software, and they're going to. I know they're in their early days. But I'm excited to see where that stuff will be in 5 years, as they.
Same here.
Because that's even newer than the genetic testing.
Yeah, that to me, it's crucial. They call it clutch, but it's clutch to the system.
Yeah.
And their system is even newer than the genetic testing. So like we went live with our morph tests, and then like 6 months later they came live with clutch. So it's definitely very beginning stages still.
I wish Justin could just transfer the snake over to me when I buy something from him. Just right in the system. I don't have to rewrite it. Like all the documentation, everything in there. Like that would be a cool feature. I don't know how that would work with the lineages and stuff, but all that stuff it's great,
Yeah.
And to this point with ball pythons, like you said earlier, people are worried about the words, about the genetics, but not lineage at all. But as we move more towards like what we're talking about, making the best examples, all of a sudden lineages are more important, and that, really pretty user-friendly software that they're making with clutch. It just makes it so easy. A lot of the features are drag and drop and just really, really nice. And it also looks so beautiful. It's fun to play in because it's so pretty.
Yeah.
User interface. When I used to work for Apple, I was a manager at Apple for a long time. And all of our internal systems we use for managing the staff, all that stuff it's some of the most gorgeous software you've ever seen. Ooh. And there's certain hints of that I see in clutch, just the usability, just the like fuse going down to like when your snake's going to lay or when the eggs are going to hatch, or list those little features, being able to drag and drop your shed testing stuff over, and it's showing you exactly what you're testing for. I know on Morph Market, I have to go back and like relook at like what morphs am I testing for, where like the whole thing's just there. It's easy to do.
Yeah.
So between clutch and shed testing and to me, it makes my life easier. As we build our collection, we'll hit 100 snakes again. We had over 100, but we got rid of a lot of the pet stuff, stuff that wasn't going to be part of our future. We got rid of all that stuff and just kept it really we brought in a lot more stuff. So we started using clutch and shed testing right now so that when it's 100, like I watched my buddy Miguel try to input 500 snakes in the clutch or whatever he has. Like, dude, for months, and granted, it didn't exist when he started, but I'm starting fresh. So if you're starting fresh, if you have 6 snakes, 10 snakes, start with clutch, get a really good system. And then when the 11th, when the 12th, when the 13th, and as you build that, also the lineage too, how it shows the grandparents, all that stuff. Yeah. That to me is one of the best.
I'll be right back, y'all. Yeah.
Yes.
That's such a good feature, and it's only going to get better and better and better. And then I told this better than anybody. I'm OCD, so on clutch you can get all the certificates, all the certifications, the stars when it's been tested. I'm testing pieds for pieds because I want the star. Like clearly it's a pied. I'm going to pay $40. I'm going to test for it, and I want my star. I want every single thing to have a star.
Yep. Yeah. But AG was just messaging me earlier this week. Hey, when are you gonna have Stranger? When are you gonna have this and that? Like, I want to be able to get that star.
So so Justin already shed tested one of the, some of the snakes. He transferred them over to me. It'd be cool if their stars can just transfer over. But
I know they're talking about that.
That'd be cool. I know even if it's manual would be easy at the beginning, but once a lot more people use it, it's going to be, but even like when he tests something with Charlie, like it goes in the notes section, so that it proves that it's been tested. I track all that stuff meticulously, upload the certificate, all that stuff. Cause you might run into a situation like we did with those het monsoons where we're like, bro, guess what? The lineage of that snake, guess what it had? Then we just go back and easily I could track everything. I know exactly what to test.
Yeah. And that happened once with Justin too. He ended up with a white snake when he didn't expect it. think he had a couple of babies that were white snakes in a clutch. And so we ran it for all the Blue Eyed Lucy stuff, found out that he had Russo on both sides. And so those were super Russos. And so he was able in clutch track it back and figure out, okay, that it came from that animal. And then he could go forward and be like, okay, the ones I still have, oh, and I sold that one to that person, I'll let them know, hey, that's probably got Russo in it. Like all of that was quick and easy because of the clutch software.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm super excited on where this stuff's going. I'm really happy to be part of this hobby, especially right now. And if you're somebody who's like, you're not good with computers, get good with computers. They're easy to use. Get yourself a Mac, get yourself an iPhone, learn how to use them. They're user friendly. They're very intuitive. And we're literally in the systems business. Breeding is like, all you do is you pick up a snake and you put it in another bin. Like the operational side of what we do is extremely easy. It's systems. Like we're in a system business. If you're really good at systems, you'll be really successful. If you're not good at systems, you're not a systems person, you're not going to be successful, or you're going to be much less successful based off of your potential. Have a really good system, track everything, document everything. And you don't know what you can track and you don't know what you can document if you don't know what you're starting with. And you figure that out by shed testing everything.
Yeah.
You gotta get that full panel incorporated into clutch.
Yes.
Because I'll just full panel everything. I'll just click every single thing, full panel.
So you hear that, Justin and Summer and Sebastian, we got to have the panels back on clutch.
Yeah, I'll spend the money to test stuff that's already been tested. So Justin said on the podcast, he's like, AG test stuff that I've already tested for. I was like, I know, I need my check mark. You tested for
wow, there you go.
I need the check mark. You know what I mean? So I'll spend the money to do it, just put it in the system. And for God's sake, change a damn date on clutch. It's backwards.
It's on the I got you.
Dude, it's so annoying. I know they need to do a
American moment.
We have coders that work for us, and it's super easy. It's super easy. I almost wanted to have one of our coders go in there and fix it for them. It's a year, the month, and then the day or something. It's ridiculous. So that needs to be fixed. They need to do full panels in clutch, and then Morph Market needs to do a dark mode. I say this
yes, they do need a dark mode. Oh my gosh.
2:00 in the morning, binge buying snakes, and the whole bright screen is just blowing my eyes out.
It's like I am a cave reptile. I live in the dark. The sunlight isn't real. That's my lamp. I don't want to be flashbanged by it. I just want to look at pretty snakes.
I like dark mode as well.
I'm on all the apps. As soon as I go to Morph Market and use like the calculator to look at something, immediately on my eyes are just blown out by that. Those are three things I need to fix.
Let me make sure they don't already have a dark mode, because I feel like I remember something about it, but I could be completely
I message them like every week about it.
Oh, okay. So you probably know.
They say they're working on it. I mean, unless they dropped it and didn't say anything, but every week.
Yeah.
Too funny. Yeah. Darian.
What did we forget to cover?
I think that's about everything.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming on. I had fun, and it's pretty rare. We have a hour and a half long video, and I won't have a ton to edit. It's pretty straight through, honestly.
The things I said are solely just my business, viewpoints. Like I said, I don't know anything about breeding, but I do know a lot about business, and if you want to do the business, there's certain structural rules that exist in business, and they apply everywhere to everything.
There's a lot of crossover.
Yeah. And then anything I can help with, if you follow us on Instagram, just shoot me a DM if you have a question, something I can help answer relating to business. Don't ask me snake questions because I won't have the answers.
Fair enough. All right. Well, thanks everybody.
So that's the best place for people to reach out to you is Instagram, Koil Snakes.
Yeah, Koil with a K. We also have our Toehold Instagram. It got taken down. We're in the process of getting it back.
Oh, no.
800,000 followers. But whether it comes back or not, all of our customers just message me directly on my phone anyway. So the Instagram was more of just like advertising. It was just, there's just hot chicks, basically. There was almost no product at all. It was just like a way to like start a conversation and get people to be like, wait, what is this company? So it's something I did a long time ago, and we just stuck with it. But our new Instagram is small. It's only like 1,500 people because we just started it. But you can message us on Koil Snakes, and I'm always happy to answer any questions that.
And when you do message him on there, it's AG answering it, not someone else.
Yeah, it's always me. It's always me.
That's cool.
Cool beans.
It was great talking to you guys. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Thanks for joining us. And everybody make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps us get there in the algorithm. And go subscribe to AG's new, current Instagram and new Instagram. Shoot him a message if you want to talk more about what we talked about today. And yeah, I think we'll call that a wrap. Thanks, everybody. Outro in 3, 2, 1.